and that way Ken can see it as well as other people. So quickly, I'm absolutely a novice to this. So I just got the map like everybody else did, or most everybody else did, that Rocky recommended from Sky and Telescope. And I was out there with the 6-inch. I was hoping we were going to have more people participate so I would get some help from people getting started, but it was just a few of us. And I looked at that map and I looked at all those little yellow numbers and and I said, "Oh, wait a minute. This isn't going to work. I don't know how this is going to be." And I looked at that, and I had not done any homework. So I had not gotten online and tried to figure out which of these objects were really going to be available at that time, although the form tells you that to some extent, and we'll touch on that. Otherwise researched it. So I felt a hopeless moment there. And then I started studying it a little closer, and I realized how the map works. So, and I've got a copy of the map here. And if you haven't tackled this yet, I'm going to save you some panic because the map the map has got 2 tables on it and the map. And the tables, there's 2 tables. One table, the one that's on the inside with the map, is simply a numeric index. So if you look on the moon and you see a number on an object that you're interested in, you can go over here and look the number up because they're in numerical order and find the name of the object. And then, of course, you can go online if you want to and learn more about it. The second index is the one you probably use when you're observing mostly, and it's alphabetical. So, well, I've got that backwards. Actually, it's because it's going to be the numerical one that you're going to use mostly when you're observing. But at any rate, you got the one on the back that's alphabetical. So if you know the name of an object, you can find the number, and that'll help you find it on the map. So let me make sure I corrected myself. That first one, that's the numerical index, is the one you're going to use when you're observing mostly, because what you're going to do is, depending on the phase of the moon, you're going to look for the objects that are near the terminator, and you'll find their numbers. You'll find them on your observing list, and then you'll find them in the numbers on the map, and then you'll know the name, and you can enter it in as you observe it. Now, here's the next thing you need to know, because you say, okay, well, that's great, but there's still all these yellow numbers all over this map. If I know the number of an object, so let's just do this real quick. Let me share screen. And let me open the observing form. And so if the moon is less than 4 days old, these are the objects right here that you're going to be observing. Everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Binocular objects, craters 4 days old or less. So you say, okay, well, it should be lit up. I'm 4 days in. I want to see Vendalinus. So you go to the alphabetical index and you look up Vendalinus and get the number. So now with that number, it looks bewildering, but it's not. It's well organized, and I'll show you how it is, because now I'm going to show you some pictures. How do I do that? Okay. I'm going to show you a picture of the map and show you how it's organized. Dropbox. No, not Dropbox. Downloads. All right. So here we are. Let me get rid of this. Whoops. I need to let somebody else in. See, that's the problem with this admit. All right. When you look at these yellow numbers, you begin to realize that they're small up here at the top, and they get on the north, and they get bigger as you go south. You see how that works? And then you also notice that they grow from west to east. So right here is 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, etc. And then you go south, it's like a carriage return on a typewriter. Then we see 88, 89, 90, 91. They're obviously doing this in bands of so many degrees. And you just do a carriage return and come back, and the numbers get bigger. You go west till you get to, go east from west, the numbers get bigger. And when you get all the way to the east, you carriage return and do it again. So it's really not that hard to find these numbers. So just to rehash, you go to your form, and you look, the phase of your moon, and if I can get down here and get to your form, you have these targets that you want to observe. You know the names. You go to the alphabetical index, you get the number, and now that you know how the numbers lay out on the map, you can find your object on the map. And then it's a process that's very similar to star hopping if you're doing deep sky stuff. It's a little different, and you have to get used to it. I'm not the only one who's made that observation. Even if you are fairly experienced at star hopping and learning how to turn things around in your mind from the map to the image in your scope, because things get turned upside down, or otherwise your perspective is circles. It's not always lined up north, east, south, and west. You have to get used to that. Then you can start working your way around, starting with the big objects like the mare. You can find where your object, what mare it's near, find the mare, and then you just sort of crater hop instead of star hop to your object. And of course, you may need to turn your map upside down, or you may need the mirror image map to make this a little easier. And then and once you get that and you start to get oriented, it's quick. I mean, you can knock some stuff out in a hurry. You can see here the other night on the 24th, from 2108 to 2131, I knocked all that out, plus some up here. So the way this is organized, you've basically got full moon or nearly full moon stuff up here into the naked eye section. Then you got Maria, which are the big dark areas on the moon here in the naked eye section. Then you got some oddball items in the binocular section. They're pretty big items, but they're not Maria or craters. And then after that, it gets broken down into craters at different phases of the moon with either binocular or telescope. And so that whole process I just described will walk you through the whole moon. And that's, it seems like. Now, some novice observers may be a little confused. The time and date shouldn't be a problem. The instrument and power, you just need to describe your instrument. There's no magic to how you do that. I was using the 6-inch refractor, so I just put 6-inch REF period, and NE for naked eye. The binoculars were 7 power, and you divide the focal length of the eyepiece and the focal length of the instrument to get the magnification. Now, maybe some difference of opinion about how to do this seeing thing. I don't agonize over it. I just don't think it's that big a deal. If it's poor or extremely poor, I'm not going to be looking anyway. So, it's just a question of how wavy the image is, and you wet your finger and hold it in the air and make and write down your best idea about it. If you really wanted to do it right, you can Google this seeing concepts and how to judge seeing, and there are resources on the web that are pretty, give you a pretty almost objective guide to it. And what you do is you crank up your scope to the highest power you can and put it on a fairly bright star, and then you can see how the diffraction rings are holding together. And if they're solid, then that's excellent seeing. If they're just a little bit busy, then it's very good. And if they're starting to break up, it's good, and so forth and so on. And they have pictures, and you can go by that. But I don't think you need to get that involved with it here. And transparency, again, there are different things you can do, but one thing you can do is just look on Astrospherics, the weather thing, and see what they say the transparency is, but and plug it in there, you know. But it's, you know, if you do any observing, you get a pretty good feel for whether the sky is really murky or whether it's a winter night. You know, this time of year, you're not going to have 6 transparencies. You do good to get a 5 or 4, and then your location. And if you use this, if you use the spreadsheet, you can just copy and paste that, a lot of this from observation to observation. That's all I got. I don't have anything fancy. And so there you go. Rocky or somebody.
On the, you know, if you're writing it by hand, I just use like if I'm doing it from home, I'll put home there, and then I'll give them the one time maybe in my letter I'll say I'll give the coordinates of my house, and then I'll use dittos, but they don't. But if you're copying and pasting, that's fine. Like you said.
Well, as I told you guys in an email, the thing I use, I don't know, Bruce, if you can drop your thing down so that people can see my.
Sure.
But I'm going to show them quickly.
All right, hold on. I'm going to give you permission to share.
I'm not going to share. Just get that out of the way. So my figure is bigger.
All right. Say. Well, I just need to stop share, right?
Yeah, that's right. All you have to do is stop share.
Stop share. There you go.
Okay. So I showed you this book I got when I was a teenager, observing the moon through binoculars. What it has is 16 graphs all the way through it. And you can see it shows the phase of the moon, and it lists all the craters and everything.
Oh, nice.
And then it shows each of the different phases. So you go to another one, and there you are. And then it has blow-ups of each of the areas, and it has a description for every day of the moon cycle, what you should look for. And I haven't used this since I was probably 20 or 21, so I found it again, and that's what I've been using, and it's really helpful. It's a great book. And you can get copies of it, used copies of it on Amazon.
Probably pretty cheap.
Well, not that expensive.
I've got one.
You got one of those?
Yeah, and I didn't use that one when I started. I used one by David Levy, but it basically, and it didn't have the maps like yours does, but it basically laid out the main features for each day, and
right,
you watch every day for you know, during the lunar month, you know, just to try to get out there in the evening and map it out.
Yeah, it has a 2 to 3 description for each day of the moon cycle.
Yeah,
what you should look for, how you find it. And there's the chart. And it's bringing me back to when I was younger, and like, that's how I did it. This is so much fun. Rediscovering the moon, because I really haven't observed the moon in this detail for a long time.
Yeah, right.
What was the name of that book, if you don't mind again?
It's called Exploring the Moon Through Binoculars by Ernest H. Charrington, Jr.
I found one on eBay for like $7 that has the same author, but the title includes "and a telescope."
Ooh.
So I ordered it.
Good. Now, it's a really good book, and I love the daily description, because, and then as the moon's getting brighter, I'm observing it during the day, because with my 8-inch or my 6-inch, it's too bright.
Yeah.
Michael.
Yes.
Does it have the cow jumping over the moon in it?
Not that I've seen, no.
You know where to find that, don't you?
I know where to find it.
On the website, on the Astro League website, they've got a
Reading the
diagram you can
wrong,
print out.
you're reading the
Ah.
wrong book. I don't know if you can see this. You have to read Gary Larson to see this one.
No,
Cow jumping over the moon.
this one shows you the rabbit in the moon, the lady in the moon, the man in the moon. So
Yeah. The Lady in the Moon and the Rabbit in the Moon are the best two. by
Yes, they
far.
are.
Bruce, let me share something real quick, okay?
sure.
Rocky, are you still on vacation?
Yeah, I'm in Smoky Mountains right now.
Ooh,
Ooh.
how is it?
It's been good. We've had good weather. Didn't work. Let me find it again. Well, I had it up. Where'd it go?
Is it okay to do the latitude and longitude at just decimals? Like 92 point?
Yeah,
such?
yeah. You know, first of all, I got a thing today where the guy Chuck Allen, who is the coordinator for it, he's probably thing to vote for him for president for next year, and he's a pretty good guy, but he's not going to get. And plus, you can send your things to me, and I can approve them and send it on to him. And I'm not going to get particular about how you do that. To me, that's not even important. I've even suggested doing away with it on the Lunar because it doesn't
I'm-
help me much. But the reason they don't is Aaron, who's the coordinator over the whole thing. He's a real stickler for that on all of them, plus the other information that we have to give. And I guess he figures that if he does away with it on one program, it leaves it open for people to do away with it on the rest. I don't know why. I'm not able to share what I wanted to share. It doesn't look like. What I was going to share was virtual moon and how you can do the same thing that Michael did on virtual moon
Oh,
by just by doing it now, which would be the current one, or if you want to choose a different date, you can change. You can make it any date that you want to. And what I usually did when I would locate my objects on it before I'd go out, and maybe even print it out and mark them and have a printout with me.
Now, why can't you share it, Rocky? Is it something I
don't
can help
know.
with? I mean, are you got not being denied sharing, are you? I think,
I couldn't
think-
find it. I'm usually pretty
Is
good
that
at
the
that.
NASA Liberation and pictures of it?
I'm sharing
What
the
about during
screen.
this time that it's rainy and cloudy, just using Stellarium?
Oh, you know what? Maybe I need to do it like Stellarium and reduce it. Well, I'm sorry. I can't even get it to come up now. It's on the screen, but anyway, it's pretty easy to use, and you can do that for any day, and that's usually the way I do it. I'll get it for the day and print it out, and then and then go through and mark the objects that they have, and you know, it says like less than 7 days. Well, all those objects, if you're looking at it on the 5th day, all those objects are not going to be visible. But that helps a lot to do, and I do that on just about all my observing is I do a little daytime study and laying out what I'm going to do before I go out.
well, that certainly would have been a boon to me both times on this. I've learned my lesson.
Where does one find this virtual moon
Just
item?
just Google it and download it. I think the The source is SourceForge is what is where you usually download it from. But if you Google Virtual Moon, it's just a free download.
Is it also known as Virtual Moon Atlas?
I don't know. It's
At a site called
ATLUN.
Well, I have a pair of questions. Hopefully, I could get some help with. One is Bruce mentioned seeing earlier and taking notes on the seeing at the time of the observation. Is the stuff from the CAS website and the conditions at the observatory is that does that equate to a seeing number I can put in my notes?
It would equate to transparency. I don't think there's anything on the CAS website about seeing. Seeing is a measure of how still or unstill the atmosphere is, how much distortion you're getting in your image because the atmosphere is bubbling around. And usually your seeing is really good when your transparency is very poor and vice versa.
So
Because
on the website,
stagnant,
there's an item sky quality meter. You're
yeah,
saying that corresponds to the transparency?
perhaps certainly the magnitude readings do. I'd have to look at that other to see what that's based on. I've not used it, not paying attention to it, but you can get it gives you absolute transparency numbers, or sky magnitude numbers on the website, and you could translate that in some way.
For example, right now I see a reading in magnitudes / square arcsec, I think 20.85.
Yeah,
So that
and that
corresponds to a transparency number.
it is transparency.
Oh, well, I think our objective had a scale of 6 numbers, maybe.
Yeah. That's
Maybe
not the same language, but right, it's talking about the same thing.
if somebody could point me to where I could learn how to translate those two numbers, it would be helpful for me then.
You start with putting down average. Then if it looks better or worse, it's not going to be worse because you wouldn't be out there, so it's got to be better.
Yeah, I could look
How's
up.
that?
I could look up what the average is at CAS, and then what the average number is at CAS. You still wouldn't have a mathematical formula for this, I don't guess, but we might be able to figure out what the best it ever is. Of course, what the worst of it is obvious. There's no number. And the average, and I don't remember right now what the average is at CAS. Of course, then you got to take the moon out of it. And on a moonlit night, that's the other thing. Okay. The moonlit night is going to distort that number. It's not going to be it's not actually going to give you true transparency, because the moon's going to make it look less transparent than it really is because it's so bright.
Not if you're just looking at the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about the sky meter number.
Right, I understand. Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, can I show you a little thing that I don't have my camera on? I'm on Florida right now, but similar to what Rocky said he does during the day. Can I show you my little doodling?
Sure.
This is kind of. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I share this with you. Yeah.
I just put a seeing and transparency guide for the Astronomical League in the chat, a link to it.
So like Rocky was saying, I was going through the list. I went to that NASA website and just every day took off all of the recommended sites, get a blank one. So the Terminator's kind of in play. Well, and the Terminator, you can't fudge this, because the Terminator is blocking some of the ones that say, within this time frame, you should be able to see it. Well, you can't if it's hidden in shadow. Can y'all see this little paint picture I put up?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I plan on doing tonight. If I can, if it's not too bright, seeing some of this stuff. But it was on the binocular objects and plus or minus 14 days. So that's what my intention is, and that's how I'm gonna go try to bang it out tonight. I don't have much of a program to point and circle, and so I'm just using paint. And it's real easy.
You can also just write it out, just print it out and then write on it.
Well, I could do that, but
It's
like
pretty
I
easy
said,
too.
I'm in Florida right now.
I did that. I even did that with the one you sent out one time, I think, because that's a good resource that you
And well, the
sent.
second one I sent out was pretty neat too. It's free. You just type in the area of interest, and man, it it works out okay. There we go.
One of the things that I do to prepare is I use the maps and find what we're doing, and I make a sketch and show where it is I'm looking for, and so then I have a record in my journal of what I'm looking for and what I've found.
Nice.
And I asked Rocky if it'd be okay if I changed the spreadsheet so I could put places to put my sketches in there, and he said he didn't think Chuck would mind.
Like
I
I
can't.
said, I can approve it. So no, he won't mind. I've already talked to him about changing that sheet because it's so small you can't read it. And hopefully y'all got the one I sent you because I've already run it by him and he's okay with that. And it's the same exact sheet. It's just got 4 pages instead of 3. And the places to enter your data are bigger.
I need a place to put in notes because sometimes I just want to add something extra about something that made that night memorable.
Oh, I redid that entire spreadsheet and got rid of all the redundancies and put it so I could rank it. But what I need, if anybody knows where I could find it, we basically got 2 spreadsheets. The one that is on the printed moon map, all those numbered items, and we got the spreadsheet from the league that tells us our objects to look at. But where can I find a copy of either spreadsheet that gives a size of every individual object? My
Well,
point being, I'd like to rank them in order by size and then do all the easy big ones first.
Well, I don't know if there's a spreadsheet that's already made for that, but you can get all that information off that virtual moon. And Ryan Carroll just put the source for it. If you look in your chat, he just added that.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Now, I was looking at Rocky's AL League that he posted on the chat for transparency, and I'd forgotten about this. What they recommend you do is you use the Little Dipper, and you determine how many stars you can see in the Little Dipper, and then rank your skies accordingly. One of the problems with that is that the Little Dipper is not always at the same level in the sky. Sometimes it's
It also gets wiped
higher.
out. It also gets wiped out by the moon. Transparency is not too important with the moon. I mean, you can have high clouds and still see most of your objects or
Right.
something like that. You can have bad transparency for deep sky objects and it doesn't affect you for the moon.
Right.
Now, seeing affects you because that allows you to see smaller objects.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Seeing is more important. But going back to this, our skies at CAS are going to be typically, if you're up there observing, they're going to be 4 and 5. Numbers 4 and 5s is what they're going to be. And they're never going to be a 6. this chart doesn't even allow a 7. So you're gonna, if it's a little bit murky, then it's probably a 4. If it's a pretty clear night, it's a 5. I think you could be that simple for this purpose. And the other thing you could do, I'll share my screen real quick. What I suggested earlier. Why can't I share? Oh, I know what I got to do. I'm starting to learn this thing. Share screen is you can go on Astrospherics. No, wrong thing. Dang it. Astrospherics. I had it up here. I thought I had it. There it is. See how they rate transparency? It's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories. Cloudy's 1, poor's 2. You're not going to be ever using it. Less than average, average, above average, and excellent. So I don't know. You could use, I guess you really ought to use, in theory, the AL, but nobody's going to bite you if you were to use something like this. If you felt like you wanted a reference to nail down what you're doing better.
Then you're assuming that the actual conditions turned out to be what
Well, that's true.
Astrospherics predicted.
That's true. Yeah, which is a problem. I'm gonna stop sharing. Did anybody else have a technique they wanted to discuss? Anybody else got any questions they want to ask?
Hey Bruce,
Yeah.
do y'all have any of those maps left over to purchase?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
Okay.
And we've got the mirror ones in now, and I need to get those to whomever ordered them.
Okay. Well, I'll take a map if you have any left over.
Sure. We're
When
gonna
we
have
get
to
the mirror.
yeah, how are we going to hand these things off? That's a good question. Maybe we need to have that pizza party earlier.
Yeah,
Have them.
you find the place.
All right, maybe we'll do that.
You can also, if you, before that, you can also flip virtual moon to whatever, convert it to the mirror image. And also, if you want to use your phone, Lunar HD is an excellent program too.
I use that one.
It's not quite as it doesn't have as much information as virtual moon, but it shows you where the items are out by your telescope if you don't have your computer, but you do have your phone.
Yeah, when I went to the virtual moon site, there was one person that made a comment that when they downloaded it, it came with a Trojan. Did anyone see that?
I downloaded it, and I haven't. I mean, granted, I've only had it on for like the length of this meeting, but there's nothing going crazy with my computer right now.
Okay. I'll have to take a look at it later.
Yeah, that SourceForge, I think, is a pretty good site, but these other sites, they try to hijack these things, I think, and they want you to download their program to be able to download it. You have to.
I went right to SourceForge.
Sometimes you never get to the program.
Yeah.
I've got one I want to download now, but I hadn't figured out how to do it without having to download an additional program, something different.
Can I ask what magnification y'all are working at?
Well, it varies what I'm trying to see.
Well, what's it vary from and to?
I'll go probably as low as 25, and I'll go up as high as about 250, 260.
Yeah, all mine have been 50 and 82. I mean, the objects so far that I've been looking at are not real small, and you can see them real well. 50. Well, of course, the binoculars were 7. The naked eye was 0. one magnification.
Also in the write-up, if y'all have read it, it says that you can observe naked eye objects with binoculars or binocular objects with a telescope.
but they want you to try it the other way first.
Right, right.
Yeah, they want you to
But
try it.
if to get the binocular award, of course, I think you have to observe all the binocular objects with binoculars.
Yeah, that's what you said. All right. Anybody else know any more questions, any more ideas?
So this may seem like a silly question, real quick, Bruce. Sorry. This does not have to be in one lunar cycle, right? That's because of clouds and stuff. You can go over the course of how long it takes. Is there a time frame you have to get this done in?
No, no, you can take you a couple of years if you want to.
Okay. Ideally, it wouldn't, but I just checking.
And you know, if you do try to observe it nightly, you're going to have some cloudy nights and stuff like that you need to try to catch next month. You know, one of the interesting things about the moon too is that you know, you can take a specific object that you observe and maybe sketch it. Okay, like Schultz was doing. Anyway, and if you observe the same object next month, it may have a different. The sun's going to be at a different position, and the shadow's going to be different, and it can be different from month to month. And sometimes you won't see, and sometimes people. I can think of one instance where, and I don't remember who it was, back in the 1800s, observed a lunar city, and it was at a particular phase of the moon, and he just saw it, and people can't see it, stuff like that, all the time. But I mean, it changes from month to month. It's pretty interesting. And like I said before, a few of the objects for Lunar 2, you have to observe twice. You have to observe it at sunrise and at sunset and sketch those shadows.
You know, something that we were looking at the moon at the star party the other night, and John Reed was telling people about it and trying to steal my job, and but he was doing a good job of it, and he pointed out flooded craters, and then I ran across that today again, and that's interesting to me. You've got these craters that are in Amaria, and they're the bottoms of the craters. I mean, the rims are sticking up above the Maria, the lava flow that makes the Maria, and so the crater rims are taller than the Mara, but the inside of the crater is flooded as well, and you don't see any peak or anything like that because it's just a flat, smooth surface, unless another meteor's hit in there, inside the so-called flooded Maria. And it makes you wonder about this process, because I would have intuitively thought that these flooded areas happen where lava came up in different places, of course, but basically it just flowed out and leveled out. And it's almost like you wonder how you can flood the whole crater, I mean the whole Maria, and inside the crater, which is taller than the Maria, how that took place, and for it to be so smooth and everything. I'd like to have an understanding of how that occurred.
Plato and Grimaldi.
What'd you say, Michael?
I said a lava tsunami, you know, just
jumped it.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's almost like it oozed out of everywhere. You know, it just oozed out of countless cracks. Is what, but still the crater rim didn't disappear. I don't know. It's a puzzle to me.
Why don't we get a planetary geologist for a speaker to Zoom with us some night?
There we go.
That would be great.
That would be quite interesting. I would say that my guess of how it happens, though, would be if there's just like a gap somewhere in the crater rim where the lava can get through.
Yeah.
And that might be really hard to make out, you know, with ground-based telescopes.
Yeah.
Well, either that or also got filled in too, Aaron. It filled up, and then when everything cooled down, the gap got filled too. So who knows?
Yeah. But
There's
they're
some,
all over the place. It's not just one.
there's some ghost craters that you all you can see is barely the rim. They call them ghost craters. There's some up near the straight wall. There's one up
Yeah,
there.
Carl showed us one Saturday night. Looked like the ring where somebody set a Coke bottle down on the table and left a little ghost ring, like you said.
So there's all this geology that when you start looking at this, that starts coming out, and it's not all of a sudden it gets more interesting the more you know about it, is the bottom line. And of course I want to learn it because when they go back, I want to know when they go back to the moon, I want to be able to know where they are.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I will because I'm so bad with names. I look at these things and hell, I don't know.
But you
5
got a
minutes
map, you
later.
can look it up.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys. Well, we'll plan a pizza party
Hey,
and hand out maps. Hand out maps.
Let me
Sounds
show y'all
good.
what I wrangled up. I kind of didn't do this. I kind of looked at a picture. I caught Piccolomini, but this is what I was able to sketch out of it. If y'all can see
We can't see it. All we see is your name.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, you're not sharing your video.
There you go. Oh, that's
Nice.
great. You did
Oh,
it.
no.
Man, and that's with
great.
that's with pastels, and so it's like chalk. I'm like,
Right.
oh, this is gonna be fun, man. I mean, it's really
That looks great, Steven.
thanks, buddy.
Is that white chalk on black paper?
Well, it's the various shades of white through dark gray and black. It's the black paper though, yes, ma'am.
You can buy.
Yeah.
I used to do artwork with these pastels. They go from white to black in all different shades of gray, and that's what.
Yeah,
That's really
That's
good.
really beautiful.
I'm
that's really nice.
jealous. I'm jealous that you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't sketch a circle to save my life.
Yeah.
Well, I
Me
can't
either.
do astrophotography to save my life, so there y'all go.
I never got past stick figures.
Great.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Stephen.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
So you'll have to share that as you make a collection.
Right. Well, I did Piccolomini, and I just did another one. It's on the table over there in the kitchen. But
It's kind of like good astrophotography. It takes hours to do one of those like that.
yeah, I can't post. Ryan talked to. We went through a Pix and Sight class with him. I was like, yeah, man, this is so over my head. Like right now.
Now,
Well,
Rocky,
that's impressive.
just one more thing before we go that just that reminded me that you can get. I think Rocky, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you can get out of this. You can get 3 separate awards, right?
That's right.
One of which is if you photograph them. If you photograph them, that's another award.
Yeah.
Who's saying hello?
Oh, that's my son. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
So you can get a imaging award, a binocular award, and the lunar observing award, which is the whole thing. You get the pin for the lunar observing, but you get your name on the list if you do that separately for the imaging and for the binocular. And the binocular and the imaging, there are awards for I think you have to do 8 binocular programs, and you get a master binoculars award, and you can also do that with the imaging program. I'm not sure about the details of that. You can be a master.
Hey, Rocky, is there a certain power that has to be on the binoculars?
No, you can use 20 by 80s. You can't use a binocular telescope.
The eyepieces have to be fixed on the instrument.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, guys, look for a pizza party.
Sounds good.
We'll hand out maps.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
Bruce.
Bye-bye.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for the
doing this.
info, folks. Have a good one.
Hi, Dave.